Today I'm going to take a look at this Durafly Gloster Gladiator. It's a 1100mm wingspan biplane, really nicely scale detailed on this one. Just a brand new release. So let's head outside and get this one up in the air. It's no difficult to get this one off the ground. Just have to be a little bit careful on the throttle and just be ready on the rudder just to make corrections if it starts to wander to one or the other side. And I had a few flights before this flight, and I discovered that this is a really fun and sporty RC airplane. So don't bash me if I'm not flying this one scale, but when an RC airplane is this able, I cannot resist. It's just super fun to go around in the sky, do snap rolls and whatnot. Really well controlled RC airplane. Inverted flying is just fantastic. It's so easy, and you can just keep on flying inverted and do whatever you like. And I also think the size of this RC airplane is right on the money, because it's not really a large RC airplane, but then again it's not too small to be difficult to actually be seen in the sky. And today I have no wind, and I mean a really nice sky to have a good contrast. It's early in the morning, and you can see it just keeps on rolling. It's not, you know, super snappy like the Pitts S1S 850mm, or for instance the Extra 300, but it is a really nice, and no hesitation when it rolls, and stall turns really easy. When you want to do knife edge, just keeps on going. It's really easy to just have it on the side. Really no old prop noise either, which can be a thing when you do knife edges. You actually push the blades to a little bit of an odd angle. And I'm doing this flight on a 4S 2200 milliamp 50C battery, and it's just shoved all the way forward because the nose is so short, so it does have to be as far forward as possible. And it's a little bit touchy on the elevator, so I don't know if that's actually, that it is a little bit tiny tail heavy still. So I would certainly just suggest to have, you can certainly do it 100% rate, but you can also just put in expo. So what I did, I'd actually have like 40% expo on the elevator to have it more tame. So that's just the way I set it up, and I think on the other surfaces I have like 20-30%, which usually is a good starting point. You don't really need to fly this on low rates unless you want to have it super scale flying. And according to Durafly, this plane should be really sweet when it comes to slow flying with a little stall tendency. I have to fly this one more to actually get to know exactly where the stall is. But it doesn't have any problem or get squirrely when you fly quite slow, so I suppose it's a really good design. In my opinion, I mean, biplanes do have more lift than just a high wing or low wing. I think you can actually see just how well this RC airplane handles inverted flying. There is really no difference between flying, you know, in normal or upside down. Just works as it should with this RC airplane. So I set a timer for 6 minutes. I discovered that if I push this RC airplane, yes, I better just land when the timer says 5 minutes. So let's get this one down, just kill the throttle, let it glide, a little bit of power in the end, and just flare, and you're down in a really nice way with this Gloster Gladiator. It's a truly fantastic and fun flying RC airplane, which I hopefully will do lots of flights. When you have an RC airplane that is this aerobatic and this able, I think it's hard to resist to do aerobatics. Although this is a scale looking RC airplane and the real RC airplane doesn't do all these tricks that this one can do, I think that, I mean, when an RC airplane is able and you are also able to do aerobatics, I mean, you really can't resist to do it. So this RC airplane then is, you know, it's really well balanced. It does have an excellent roll rate. It flies fantastic inverted. You can do, I mean, nice long knife edges and everything actually from takeoff, where you just have to be a little bit gentle on throttle and be prepared on the rudder just to make corrections. And when about to land, you more or less just go towards the runway and you kill the throttle and you go down, and just before you touch down, a little bit of power, a little bit of flare, and you're down in a really good way. There is a 3-point or 2-point landing. So it's just, when it comes to flying, it's just fantastic. But as all the Durafly RC airplanes, the negative thing, at least to me, is how you put them together, because they are a little bit more complicated than you would have liked, actually. So compare them to E-flite or FMS RC airplanes, I think that, I mean, Durafly does have some things to learn. I won't really bash them too much, because their RC airplanes usually are really fun to fly. But I will just show a few steps then on how to assemble this one, which you just can see that it's a little bit more complicated than needed. The first thing, which I really can't understand, is you have to remove the cowl and the engine in order to get the ESC in a good position. I mean, why should you do this? Of course, I do understand it, because you actually have to remove the cowl to mount additional pieces. So you have like these fake exhaust pipes, which goes into a slot, and you're supposed to glue this, but you can actually just shove them in, and they're held in place by the cowl piece. And you also have to mount the landing gears before you do this. And then, of course, the time just to slide this cowl on. It's just held actually by the front piece, and the front piece, then again, I mean, it's held by 2 screws, but it is also fiddly just to find the right position. Remember, where did I actually unscrew this one, and how should this one be mounted? As far as the rear stabilizer goes, it's pretty standard. You have like a spar for it, and you shove these pieces in and just flex the wing a few times. And the opposite side, then, they are supposed to just connect in the middle, so just make sure you line them and just shove them all the way in and flex a few times. And then you have like this standard procedure, just lots of different screws used, different heads especially. So some are just, you know, Phillips heads, and some are hex heads, so it's really strange. And then you use ball links on this RC airplane. You should just use a ball link plier. And of course you have to like center the servos before you do this, and if necessary just adjust them so you have a straight control surface. And you use these plastic pieces to hold one end, and in my opinion they have been working great on other RC airplanes. And then you have the right length of the control rod. Just use the plier to hook this one up. The wing, then, it slides in like this, but the thing is, you actually should attach these cables first. So I mean, you have a Y cable supplied, So before you slide in the wing, just hook up these rather short cables, but otherwise it would be really difficult to get everything together, and slide the Y cable into the hole, and then you can get the wing under the exhaust pipes and you're ready to secure this one. And again, I mean, there's a lot of different screws and different bags, which can be difficult if you just try to follow the manual. Sometimes on most Durafly RC planes, it doesn't really match what kind of screws you're using, so there's a little bit of guessing. So they should really learn from like FMS, which have almost exclusively like 2mm hex heads on all their screws, and then it's just super easy built. And then you have like the supplied screwdriver which you have to use to mount these braces, and you also have like these pieces that goes in between the top wing and the bottom wing, and it's just slide in. You have to find the right one, and it can also be a little bit difficult just to know which one of these 4 pieces and how they are supposed to be mounted. I mean, there's a lot of text in the manual, but not too many explanatory pictures actually. When it comes to the wheels, they are pretty easy to assemble. You actually have the inner plastic piece, and then you have like this fastener which uses a 1.5mm hex head, and then you put the other side on, and the difficulty here is actually just to align everything. So I mean, this could have of course been done in a better way. You have 4 screws to hold this in place, but the first wheel went really nice, and the other wheel on the other hand, I just had to fiddle with it to get the right alignment. So I mean, again, it could have been done in a better way. And you have like this fake air intake, so I used hot glue, just lots of hot glue to hold this one in place, and this one you can mount after you have the cowl in place. And then of course you have things like guns, which you also use glue to attach to the wing. And then the last part is actually the spinner backplate, the prop, this counterweight, and then also the spinner cone, which is held by a nut. And then of course you have like wing wires, and I mean, I didn't really bother to follow the manual because it's just so frustrating and not really logical in the way you do it. I think I saw another user having like bungee cords or something, and just springs to make them really easy to attach and to detach. But I mean, in general, there are a lot of uncertain points in the manual when you're building this one, so you're actually just trying yourself what kind of screws works where, and then you have this one assembled with a little bit of a headache. Although the build is a little bit complicated, I think this is a fantastic RCL plane. First of all, I mean, it just handles great in the air. It's fun to fly. I think it looks fantastic with this paint job and the scale details, and it's a really beautiful looking RCL plane overall. I'm a little bit bummed that there's no pilot inside, which I mean, honestly, it wasn't on the Lucky Gallon Corsair either. So I mean, I know that Durafly likes to have the ability to actually put some FPV cameras inside, which I think is a little bit stupid, to me at least. But I mean, a pilot guy would have been really nice in this one. Now I will find some sort of pilot and just put in later on. And this one, I mean, it's also interesting that you use this kind of foam piece to actually hold the battery. It's a simple solution, but it does work. So the battery just goes all the way forward as far as you can go, and it's due to the short nose. So actually, to have more weight, you really have to have the battery as far forward as possible. And there's even like a counterweight on the spinner, underneath the spinner, which is a really hefty piece. And I'm running this on a AR630 receiver, and I'm just using the stock ESC. So all in all, I think it's just a fantastic detailed RCL plane, and just it flies great. So I mean, 2 thumbs up for this Gloster Gladiator from Durafly.